morning family, and welcome to a beautiful autumn day here in Australia on Sweeney's Creek Farm. As you can see, I'm actually in the high tunnel today. I'm going to be picking the last of our tomatoes. It's the end of tomato season, and what we have left I'm going to harvest, whether they're green or red. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make some green tomato relish, fingers crossed, and see how that goes. As you can see, the plants aren't looking all that great, but they did do a fantastic job, with the exception of one or two varieties. So we've been able to harvest from here about 150 kilos. I'll put that in pounds somewhere here. And yeah, we've been really happy with a lot of the varieties. A lot of the ones that self-seeded did exceptionally well. We probably won't plant as many of the variety that we did this year, because there was just so many of them. And we just ran out of ideas on what to do. One of the problems that we did have, and I know a lot of gardeners do actually have this issue with tomatoes, is blossom end rot. And as you can see here, here's an example of what that looks like. It's where the bottom of the tomato actually starts to rot. Now, what is the problem with that? A lot of gardeners think that it's an issue with the calcium in their soil, and sometimes that is actually the case, and maybe get a soil test. A lot of the time it's with the watering, and actually getting that calcium up into the plant is the issue. Now, we, as you know, suffer from a lot of problems with water here on the farm, and as you can see in the previous video, we've put in a bore to try and get over that. It's not operational yet, but this was 100% an issue with our watering. We let it dry out too often, and obviously when it actually did get a water, the calcium wasn't being taken up into the plant. How does the calcium get into the tomato? It's via a process called transpiration, which is where all the water goes through into the plant. Now, the water will actually go to the places that need it the most, and in most cases that's the leaves, because they're the driest. As you can see, tomatoes have a lot of liquid, so what the plant does is it puts it into the leaves, and if there's nothing left for the fruit, then you'll get this issue here. So it is generally a water issue and a stress issue. Now, what can you do to prevent that? Don't let things dry out. And if it's going to be a really hot day, you might find that you might have to water your plants a little bit more often. But make sure nothing dries out, because the plant will then try and put everything into the leaves and nothing into your tomatoes. Is foliar spray any good? Well, not in this instance normally, because the transpiration goes through the veins of the plant. The calcium doesn't actually get absorbed into the plant. It's actually distributed through the root system and the vein system. So unfortunately, foliar spray isn't going to be any good. When you do actually fertilise, and if you're fertilising around the base of the plant, make sure your soil's wet first, and that will assist as well. So after all that, what were our successes and failures? Well, this one here has been an absolute failure for us, and I thought I would give it a go, but it just doesn't seem to like our conditions at all. And I was really surprised, because it's one of the most popular paste tomatoes around, and that's the San Marzano. And pretty much every single one of our tomatoes ended up like this. And the ones that did survive were these teeny tiny ones. So we probably won't grow that next year, but what I might do is, I have got some seeds left, so I might put it in a bed and see how it goes with better watering, because I'm assuming that it was something to do with our watering here, and it got a little bit humid and they really don't like it. So I will actually plant a couple of these next year, but I planted a whole row, and this whole row was an absolute disaster. So it was a waste of space, unfortunately. So I'll plant a couple more next year with regular watering, see how they go. One of our other failures was our Black Russians. They suffered a lot with the blossom end rot as well. And again, I will actually try them again next year, maybe not plant so many, and see how they go with the regular watering, because they're a nice tomato, nice slicing tomato. They go great in sandwiches. That being said, what were our successes? Well, I'll show you a couple of them. Now, bear in mind we're at the end of this season, and some of these are very small. So our little Roma tomatoes, They did fantastic. Now this is on the small side. We did have quite large romas. These were amazing, and we will be planting probably the majority of these next year because we do a lot of preserves and sauces, and they're fantastic for a paste tomato. So I was really happy with those ones. Another paste tomato that did really well, and I'm surprised with, because last year when we planted them they did terrible, and that was the Amish paste. This was amazing, this plant, and I wish I had planted more, but I kind of got burnt last year with this tomato, and I only planted a few, and I really wish I had planted a lot more because they are fantastic and they have made some beautiful sauce. Now, as for the slicing tomatoes, I'll show you one here. It's pretty small. It's probably the smallest one we've got. Moneymaker. I planted this one, and it was really good plant. It didn't suffer at all from the blossom end rot like the other ones did, so I was really happy with that one, and I'll probably plant them again. The yellow pear, wow, we just had them everywhere, and they have been fantastic, and they were great in salads, and we did actually make some relish out of them too, and it gave it a really nice sweet flavour. So I will be planting a few of those. Not a whole row like we did this year because we just had too many and we couldn't keep up and we couldn't eat them all. So that was great. The Gross Lizzie did okay. Again, blossom end rot, but you know, I will try again next year with those ones as well. So we were really impressed with the paste tomatoes this year. Our slicing tomatoes really let us down, but next year it will be interesting to see with regular watering how that actually helps us grow. But as I said, 150 kilos just out of these 4 beds, so we were really happy. We've got a lot frozen because these just kept going and going, so I'm going to be putting these ones in the freezer as well, and we'll just see how they go. So now I'm going to get picking, and I will get rid of everything that is okay, and what is not okay I'm going to pick that and just feed it to the chickens because they absolutely love it. I don't want these actually sprouting up next year in these beds because I would do crop rotation, so this next year they won't be grown here, they'll be grown elsewhere. There's some nice sized green ones here. With the daylight that we've got and the weather turning a little bit cold, these have been on the plants for quite some time and they're just not ripening, so these will go into some green tomato relish. Well, I've been down one row, just this side and this side, and I have obviously a few more to go, and as you can see there's a beautiful basket here of green tomatoes. So I'm going to pick the rest of these on all the rest of them. I don't think that there's too many left, but this will make a nice little batch, and it's better than letting them rot on the vine. I can actually turn this into food. Hope you've enjoyed that video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. We've actually been told by a few people that our videos aren't coming into their feed, so maybe do that notification bell again. We've got a few videos coming up with some major announcements and some major projects that are going on at the farm, and hopefully the bore pump will be going in this week as well, so that will be exciting to see what the result of those tests are going to be. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.